Jared, you look the same as the day we left you on set. I'll be honest with you. I think you were wearing the same shirt. I don't know if you have multiples. I don't know if you... is this too fast?
No, you wore... What shirt did you wear that I said that I liked on set?
I've got a lot of interesting shirts. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember that your uniform always involves a dirty bandana sticking out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And everyone asks you for that bandana, and they always say, "Well, it's going to get very dirty," and you're like, "I don't care." You lost a lot of bandanas.
Is that why you have those?
That's that week. Yes, I don't usually carry a bandana. It's usually like a camera cloth.
Yes.
But the first day, people kept asking me all day for bandanas, so I just kept it on them. Just being that guy who has the thing people want is just kind of how I fall.
Yeah. I find that that's an important thing to distinguish and then capitalize on as much as you can. You know, is understanding what people are going to
ask for.
It's interesting because when, you know...
Should we say this for the podcast?
There's been times... Well, we're actually rolling right now.
Are we?
There's actually been times where... I was confused perhaps about like a certain path I was on, like career-wise, or like the type of job I was doing within, you know, this sphere or something. And it's like, well, what are people coming to me as? Like, I used to not think of myself as an editor, but then I realized everyone kept coming to me for editing, and it's like, well, then there must be something going on there. You know, it's like I should, you know.
Yeah, it's weird because to those people, you're the editor, but to a different group of people, you're the camera guy.
Exactly.
Or the guy who has things to use on set or something.
Like the bandana.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And so, but that's not a trick that you usually pull, is to bring the lucky bandana, the trusty...
Well, the
cloth.
trick is my entire car is my toolkit. So I literally have whatever you can use on set. I try to keep it in my car. So it's wherever I go, my car goes. And you need something? I got it. Give me a minute.
That happens so many times.
Very oddly prepared. You were very oddly prepared for a lot of situations. I remember I had to direct traffic, and you're like, go in my car. I have a yellow reflector vest for this exact purpose and a hard hat. And I'm like... Okay.
Yeah, actually, I used to do construction, and I was actually certified as a road flagger. So I've got like road cones,
we're going to talk about some of those.
So there's a story to a lot of that.
Usually
utility.
I keep a little bit of my old jobs, and I'll keep that going for the next one. It's like a MacGyver scenario,
right?
You know, I've got that to be the MacGyver guy on set because no one else will. You know,
that's true.
So plus, it's a lot of fun. Can you do this? Yes, give me 3 minutes.
Yes.
I remember we were in the middle. It was the last day at the director's house, and we're in the middle of getting everything off the grip truck, and we're like, we don't have any tennis balls to put anything down in the director's house. And I was like, well, we need blankets or something. And you're like, I got a huge 20-person tent in the back of my car. Just laid that down. I'm like, I don't think... He breaks open the box brand new. He's like, I don't care what happens to it. I
forgot about that.
How do you fit all of those things? It kind of seemed like Mary Poppins' bag. Your car is like Mary Poppins' bag, where you just kept pulling these huge things out. And I was like, I don't know how he's doing this, but I'm really grateful for it. And I didn't want to ask any questions because I thought that would stop the magic.
Yeah, curious enough, that's not the first time someone has given me the Mary Poppins analogy as well. And I'm like, yeah, let's keep that going. You know?
That's how you know you're doing it right.
Yeah, right. I used to play a lot of baseball growing up, and the coach would say, okay, so where can you play? And it was you never pick a position. You say, well, where do you need a guy? That's where I play. You make a lot of teams that way. You make a lot of sets going, well, what do you need? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I've recently personally found that because you oftentimes are either, they ask you what you can do, and then you say it, and you kind of pigeonhole yourself and you put yourself in one slot. But when sometimes afterwards they crew you up for something, and then you realize they need 15 things they didn't account for or plan for. People dropped out. And I was producing on a set the other day, and I was supposed to just be the producer. I was told that's what I was doing. And then it turned out that I had to do makeup and be crafty and be catering and 1,000 other things. And I thought really quickly, I'm going to need a belt, a toolbox that can make me or any of us prepared to show up and basically do anything that day, regardless of what we were crewed for. That's really the best mindset to have, is just in case, be prepared for anything.
Yeah,
Boy Scouts.
I like to have my number one. Exactly. That's where I got it. Boy Scouts. You know, it's like, if you need a guy to do something specific, they'll ask you for that. Can you do this? And that's just, yes, I can do that. But if they say, we need people on set, what can you do? I go, where do you need a guy? You know?
Yeah.
So it's really fun being, plus my ADHD, I can't do one thing. So I've always been that jack of all trades. Let me do 10 things at once because I'm going to do, but I pick it up quick. So it's like, I haven't died yet doing anything like that I just started doing. So
Really?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. I just
You're a stuntman, so that's pretty impressive.
There's a bunch of different kinds of stuntmen. So I like to consider myself like, the stuntman who's doing the smaller things. Like I have a good friend, Heidi Schnappoff. She is by far one of the best stunt women in the country, if not the world. She's been in all the things you could possibly think of, from like the new Ninja Turtles movie to she does all the stunts for her own TV show. It's not her show, but she's the stunt woman for the main actress of the show. And she has an insane amount of wealth and preparation and training and stunts and, martial arts and stuff. And she's like top echelon. She's worked with the best of the best. She's gone to Japan to work with people for sword fights, like specifically, like the dream, and she's top tier stunt woman. I like to think that I'm like, here, if I had a lot of money and time and a lot of really good training like her, we can get there. But if you need a guy to like jump out of a car or something or do some kicks, I can do some of those.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you jumped out of cars?
I have.
What's the form? What's the proper form for jumping out of a car? Just for future, I might need.
Yeah.
Can we just go downstairs and do that? Like really
jump
quick,
out of a
like
car
right
in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, right in the middle of Hamilton.
For future reference, all of those things are done technically as safe as you can.
Right.
The floor, the ground you're jumping out of the car on is not the actual ground.
Right.
It's mostly some kind of padded softness. You have to hit it rolling, and the car is going far slower than you think it's going. Most likely. That's how I've done it anyway. It's easy to do it 10 miles an hour because you could probably sprint 10, 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you run really fast, you ever fall while you used to run, really get hurt, as long as you roll out of it, which is number one, just tuck and roll.
Interesting.
Yeah. Basically, that's a lifelong kind of, just tuck and roll, man.
Every time.
In preparation for you coming on the show, I was thinking, I haven't seen him do anything crazy. But then I remembered being on set of just that simple the law commercial that we were on together.
Yes.
And you were driving the car and you were flooring it in the direction of another car. And that's like, is that something you often do as well? Is that you drive cars as a stuntman?
I have, but I have yet to, besides that one and a couple other small budgets, I haven't been able to get out there in a police car and be the takeout car. I'm waiting, so give me a call. I can go sideways pretty well. But it's a lot of fun if they look for a guy and you can actually get in there and do it. So there's been a lot of things that I've had to say, okay, realistically, you're going to need someone who has this, and this. But I can do this, and this. And if that is within their realm, it's pretty good.
That's part of it.
It's ready.
That's part of the experience.
It's ready.
Yeah.
It's when
the eggs are ready.
Yeah.
I just realized that we had set that up as that was a joke earlier, and then it just paid off now, unfortunately. We actually rigged a it was Zak that set it up. That's part of an actual camera rig that Josh came up with, where he took an egg timer, very economic, stuck the GoPro mount to it with epoxy. Yeah, this is it right here.
Yeah.
And you can look at that. And so this does a 360 panning shot for time lapses that we use.
I have one that's just basically like a square cylinder. It's the same exact thing. It's a perfect idea.
Yeah.
Weddings, they're great for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's great because if you just have the app, you never have to touch it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I love things that have apps because they're easy. And I hate anything dependent on an app. I think I'm always...
It has to be a balance.
I'm always that guy. I'm like, hold on, my app's not working. Let me just try to get in. And then I got my camera.
Well, we just discovered that the app for... what we have, I don't know if I should say it in case they want to sponsor us at some point. I'm not trying, but we have the Hero 5 Black. And so at least for ours, we need Wi-Fi to get on it. And that's the most, you would think that something designed to be outdoors and be in extreme conditions wouldn't need Wi-Fi to use the app.
It seems counterintuitive. And obviously you'd want a hotspot. Yeah. But if you don't have a hotspot, and you're hiking or biking or whatever.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, GoPros are really made to be like, just put it on your face and run.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's actually using, kayaking, biking, hiking, who's got their phone out while they're,
That's true.
So I guess they don't care enough. They're like, well, what? 20% of people might do that.
Yeah,
they don't care about them.
They thought they were like, we could put in a little bit more work, but they won't care. It's fine.
Does the new one have it?
I would.
It was the app in general, so it required, and we tested it out a few times.
So it interfaces with all of the GoPro models,
all of them. So
the app doesn't have that functionality.
Right, so it requires Wi-Fi no matter what one it is. We looked at it for the 8
It's especially weird because they're like $600 devices.
I know. You think they could just do what you want them to do, right?
You wouldn't think that would be too difficult. Like Bluetooth. That's what that's for. That is what that would be used for. Why is that not how it works?
That doesn't have that.
Yeah. Oh, we were too. Thankfully, we figured it out before a shoot, so we weren't counting on having it.
Yes.
But
my test shoots are very important.
Yeah.
Yes. Test your stuff, kids. Test your stuff.
Yeah.
Safety first.
So, how do you set out to be a stunt guy? How what happens in your life trajectory where you're like, I think I can take a fall pretty good, for money, or you're like, maybe I can get fake punched, or throw some fake punches and capitalize
it's basically where it started. And my stunt, if my movie career was 100%, stunts are 20% of what I do. But it started out as just I've taken martial arts most of my life, and I've been trained in weapons and firearms and takedowns and stuff like that. I used to bounce at a bar, so it's like I've been in these scenarios where I'm very familiar with physical encounters. I've got pretty good flexibility. I'm pretty quick, so when I do things with a 6'4" frame and I kick straight in the air, it looks much better than it really is. So it really helped me out having all that experience with the martial arts. But it's kind of funny. I got into film because I met this girl, Heidi, and she was making her movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to meet the stunt woman, because at the time I really wanted to get into as my main thing. I was trying to get into a little more, and I've done a bunch of music videos and a bunch of rope work, putting people up in trees. And I used to teach rock climbing when I lived in Maine. Okay. So I've done a bunch of I'm really familiar with flying around and doing crazy heights and stuff like that. And I met her, and she needed a first AC on her movie, F Word, that she was filming. She wrote it, and she's doing everything herself. And it's amazing. It just got accepted into the Toronto Independent Film Festival.
Nice. So, and that's what it's called?
It's called F Word. Tickets are on sale. Just get them now. Nice. And I'm selling a lot of things. You guys understand?
Yeah, dude. Wheeling and dealing.
So she got me, that was the first AC job. And I met it because I'm like, yeah, I got to meet this stunt girl, and she ended up being way more she does stunts, but man, does she know her stuff for film and stuff. And I met her entire crew, Marky Dennebaum, 258 Studios up there, John Edwards, and a bunch of the other guys that were on set that I know my entire life.
Yeah,
that's basically where it started. You know, and that was the get go. Just wanting to be the stuntman got me into being a first AC.
Okay, interesting. And so realistically, it was film something that you had when you were younger? Was that something that you had a lot of interest in? You said you went to college. What were you going to college for?
Oh God. So growing up, I was never I loved movies. I loved to watch movies. Dad was a big cinephile, and all the old school stuff, and I grew up just loving how things are put together. But I went to school, I went to Scranton University for psychology, actually.
Nice.
I wanted to be a psychology major. And I realized very quickly that being interested in crazy people was not enough to be a psychologist. There was a lot of work, and to even do what I wanted to do would take years and years of training and stuff I just wasn't interested in. So I quit, and I always used to be interested in photography at the time. And I did some work with the newspapers. I used to write for the Times Leader, Citizen's Voice, little papers by my house, and all the local papers. And I figured, I'm not paying this much money to do something that I'm absolutely not interested in. So I just went to a community college, got a journalism degree, and started working from there. And when I was doing photography and photojournalism for a newspaper years ago, John Young-Condi, another friend who makes films near us, he just made a couple good films. We put a movie together called The Searchers, which was the first movie I was full AC on. This is before I actually met Heidi, before I really wanted to get into movies. And that I did that and I didn't even think of it. I'm just like, okay, photography and stuff like that. And then it came back around. I'm like, you know what? Now that I see this big crew, GB Earl, you guys had him on, I think last year.
He did 2 weeks ago.
He had this quote that I'll never forget. He talks about filmmaking, about how it's a big, beautiful machine, and everything comes together in this beautiful machine and pulls out this sum of that are greater than all the parts, you know, put together. And ever since I actually noticed, you know, what everyone's doing together, because you guys, small crew, I'm a small crew. I've never had, like, I have a little production company now, but it's always been, you got a camera, come out and do everything. Yeah. Film, light, edit, do all the things. So I never had that, oh my God, there's 30 people doing one job each, and it makes this amazing thing. And I've never got to experience that except for on like the bigger shoots, you know? And once you realize, like, oh my God, this is really cool. This is pretty fun. And I wasn't the worst at it, you know, pulling focus, which is, it's like anxiety ridden, you know, sometimes. And I don't get anxious ever. And people are like, how do you, I'm like, I don't even think of it, because if I do, I'm going to screw it all up and that'll be my whole thing, you know? It's almost like, I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little superstitious.
Is that composure and that sense of the adrenaline both something that, like, that you deal with when you do your stunt work, when it's all up to you to get a really complex camera movement and get the focus just right for it? Is it a similar crossover of anxiety? Is it a similar level of how you handle it and what you're telling yourself in your head?
Absolutely. I used to have a friend back when I was in high school and younger, and this is where we started doing our driving off-road stuff. And he was a driver. Like, I'm pretty good. I like to say I'm, as far as people who aren't paid to drive, like just people who can go sideways, I'm no slouch. My friend was the best I've ever seen in the world. He would go through with no room on each side, sideways through turns, and craziest person. But he was so good, you got into the car and you just, all right, this is it. So there was no worries anymore. You had to just let yourself completely trust that person in the seat. So it was never anxiety. It was more adrenaline. So the fear left and became more excitement. So that just kind of compiled over the years, you know, how much faster can we go? How much higher can we go? What if we did this instead, you know? And the fact that it came to the point where, okay, one mistake and that's a problem. You know, like you turn too quick when your car is rolling. You move too fast with the camera and it's going to nail off the ground. You do any of these little things, and that kind of folded over into first AC work. 50 people on the crew can do everything perfectly right. If I mess up that front focus, set a back focus on one take, that's my ass, you know? I don't know if I can curse.
You can.
You can.
Yeah.
Everyone definitely plays their part, and it becomes like a beautiful
I heard you catch
symphony.
yourself like twice, and I was like,
I've been trying too, because I've been hanging around, like, my girlfriend has a 5-year-old, so I'm trying to, you know, I'm bringing it back a little bit.
You gotta reel it back. Yeah.
You know, so
we're not live right now.
We're not live.
Yeah.
We used to be, and people used to drop F-bombs.
We used to be live. We were like, please stop. But now we're so happy because we catch ourselves all the time.
Still, you don't want to have to go back and listen to it. I know we cursed once in here. Where is it?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I've been there.
But that really is amazing. Have you ever been afraid that your adrenaline would take over and push you too far in what
would you
capable
consider
of
yourself
doing?
an adrenerline junkie in any sense? Like, or is it something
if I had more time and money, I would do way more dangerous things.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I love that answer.
Like riding motorcycles and stuff. I love that feeling where, you know, you get past 100 and you're just like my clutch foot will start to like tingle a little bit, just to like, you know, or my shift foot starts to, like, you know, and I'll be like, should I, a little bit? And then the half of me is going, you better, because you have the opportunity. And then there's that other half is like, okay, why? You know, like, there's no need to do 160 down this highway that you know can't take it. There's, you know, potholes, and some things just, like, in my old age now, some things aren't worth the risk.
Did you say in your old age?
Yeah, no.
Are you like 27?
35.
Really?
That's very young.
Thanks, though. That made me feel even older.
I'm turning 23, so
I'm turning 25. I feel like I'm done.
It's so pretty much it.
Imagine jumping out of trees for 10 years and
the knees start to
beat up and fights and stuff.
You definitely can't do what you do and not have health insurance.
Yeah,
you definitely need to be able to be like, hey, it's me again. Like the ER knows you very well. Like, hey, I'm here. I'll take my normal room.
I'm not even kidding. That was a thing when I was younger. My family we kind of knew the doctor, and we were just like, we're on our way again. Get the room ready.
So you got hurt a lot as a kid?
Oh yeah, I've got a few.
Do you think is there anything about getting hurt frequently, whether it's in your youth and like going in through adulthood? Do you think that like hardens you for what you got into later that makes you a little more comfortable? You're like, I know the limitations of what I can take.
That's
and I know
it all comes down to risk management.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I know I could jump off a 10-foot building, but 15 is a little much for me.
Yeah.
Because I've done that and that hurt a lot. So let's tone it down. Let's make adjustments so the risk isn't so crazy overwhelming.
Yeah.
You just as safe as you can do things. I was just saying this the other day. The safer you are, the more dangerous you could be. Does that make sense?
I love that.
The safer you are, the more dangerous you could be. So, for instance, Hollywood movies. The stuntman is getting hit by that car and being thrown. They've got 2 people watching. They've got guys on wires. They've got pads. They've got reaction systems. They've got ambulances. They've got all this safety gear to make the most dangerous thing possible. So you could be that dangerous if you're not safe about it.
That's interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's really interesting.
To do something like that and still lead a normal life seems kind of difficult at times. Has anyone ever asked you to stop? Be like, hey, don't do that anymore. Maybe work at a bank or something like very calm.
Well, I mean, I haven't gotten crazy into the stunts and stuff. Enough for anyone to be really thing. The only stuff is mine are much smaller scale. Mm-hmm. So the fights I do are just basic fights, and we use real good props and safe stuff like that. So I've never gotten to the point, like, if you would ask my friends, people do the huge stunts, they'd be like, yeah, it's probably gotten to the point where she said, I don't know about this, we should do something else, because she's smart enough to know,
right?
Or they're smart enough to know. I hope if I ever got to that day, it'd be like, hold on, let me plan this through in my head real quick, because I'm the one going out of the cannon,
Have you ever actually been shot out of a cannon?
No, I'd like to, though. I'm not saying I wouldn't. That'd be a lot of fun,
Fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's make it happen. Is there anyone out there that's
do we have a cannon?
For a shot? We got 2.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, do you think that you're because you're a very well-traveled guy. You're some would say world-traveled.
I have been to certain places in the world. Yeah.
Certain places, and not all, but
not yet. Yeah.
And you've had a lot of odd jobs, like you said, and all this. Do you think that how do you think that helped you as you go into, the film industry and all those things that you do? You talked about preparedness. You talked about all these different things. Do you think a lot of those experiences helped mold you into a more rounded person that makes you more able to give it your all, understand how to problem solve and everything like that? Because I'd imagine there's a wealth of knowledge that you acquired over those travels, over those adventures and misadventures over the years.
Yes. There's definitely a ton of things I've learned either to do or not to do over the years. Mm-hmm. And that absolutely, builds you as who you are. Like I did manual labor, odd jobs, my entire life. And I didn't realize until, later in my life, I should work with my mind, not my back, or it's not what I love to do. I liked it at the time and it was fun. And I got to do a lot of things, go a lot of different places because I was never tied down. Mm-hmm. But it got to the point where like, what do you want to do? So all those experiences will lead you back to, well, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. I don't like this. What's left? I've narrowed the choices down. People do it a lot earlier in life. I see like you guys are a little more focused on what you wanted to do. At 23, I didn't even know where I was or what I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even remember at this point. It was so many different odd stops along the way. Mm-hmm. None of it terribly important, but little things I got along the way is like, I can fix most parts in cars now because I worked as a mechanic for a little bit. That helps me not have to pay for mechanics.
Yeah.
Or, oh, you got the, rig on the set's broken. Oh, we can do this and this to make a makeshift wheel work, I remember one set, it was actually a lot of fun. Do you ever ride, the red wagon wheelbarrows?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
A little handle. You ever sit in it and pull the handle back and try to steer it?
Yeah.
That's just something you did as a kid, right?
Yeah.
That experience helped me help Heidi on one of her movies. They had to do a haul shot and they couldn't pull the wagon, the camera cart.
Oh.
So I steered it as someone pushed from the back and we got the shot perfectly.
Wow.
And it was like one of those just doing different things in life. Like, who would have thought
that's a transferable
wagon will help you film a movie one day?
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest little things.
Yeah.
And I find out it's always those things that really get you to find more about yourself and move on to the next step.
That's really interesting. Well, so what would you say to somebody who, maybe, because to me it sounds like you're outlining this very much this it's about the journey, not as much the destination kind of thing, where everything in the middle is still very important. Mm-hmm. It's not just about where you're going to end up and thinking about, because I think a lot of people, you talked about when you were 23, like when they're earlier in life, they're very hyper focused on that end destination.
True.
And they don't enjoy as much that middle part.
Yes.
And what would you say to somebody who maybe still doesn't know what they want to do, or they don't know where they want to be, and maybe they want to try a bunch of things, maybe they want to see what's that way? What advice do you have to somebody who, the importance of trying a bunch of different things and seeing what sticks?
Oh, that's the best part of life, I think. There's no way that you can figure out what you want to do without trying a bunch of things. Mm-hmm. It's like, I used to help teach some of the kids at my dojo I took, and I could see some of them getting really frustrated. They've never done these things before, and the first step to being amazing at something is to suck really bad at it. That's the first step, and you're past that first step. You're not even the worst I've seen, that's something that everyone has to get past. And, that's what it's all about, finding something new, doing something interesting. We're all going to end up in the same place. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do. How did you get there? How was your trip? You ever, like we were talking earlier, you could take the turnpike here, or you could take the scenic route. You got to get to the same spot. How much fun did you have in traffic versus how much fun did you have watching the sun go through the trees? You know what I mean?
I love that. And you should never feel like you have to rush to get to where you're going, because you don't know where you're going. No one else knows either. And you can always change that path and that trajectory. But you should make sure you enjoyed your process of getting wherever you're going.
Exactly. There's no specific, way to get to anywhere. There's no hard rules in life at all. Like you can literally make your own way. Like, this is a great story. And this just happened to me like a few weeks ago. And I'll never forget this. I was with my girlfriend, and she has a 5-year-old, and watched some cartoon, and I was making a joke they were coloring, and I was like, these kids can't even color inside the lines, kind of how bad the TV show was. It was really terrible children's show. And he was standing in front of the TV, and he turned to me, and with the most sincere look in his eyes, he said, "Jared, you don't always have to color inside the lines. You could do anything your heart tells you to do." And he went back to watch television, and he didn't understand what I was trying to do with it, but like, for a kid to already know that, like, you don't have to color inside the lines, man. Why?
Dude, he's got it,
like
he's
that's one of those
so
things
far ahead.
Yeah,
he's so far ahead.
He really is. Like, I gotta watch out, But
that's a very old soul thing to say, that he just snapped and showed you that he was way older than you in that moment.
And I'm like, okay, first off, you're 5, you didn't even get the joke I was doing, but you told me and taught me something about myself. I'm like, I feel horrible because that's not what I meant. I didn't want him to take it that way. But damn, he's good. He's got it all figured out already. You don't have to come into the lines.
That's crazy.
I think that just goes to show that age or gender, or whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever you've gone through, what your education experience is, none of that is going to be an accurate representation of how much you know.
Yes.
And how much you know, it doesn't mean what you know on paper.
Exactly.
Really.
Yep.
And I think that we all take different paths to get to where we're going to be. You took a very interesting path to where you are right now. You definitely didn't paint pain inside of the lines. You've had a billion different jobs. Some of the things, I mean, you had some tamer jobs like telemarketer, web designer. Then there was the lobster fisherman and the door-to-door vacuum salesman and the personal landscaper for David Rockefeller on his private island in Maine.
Yeah.
So, and a thousand other things in between there. How did you get to those positions? Like, what happened? How did you get to those positions? How did you get from there to where you are now? And how did you, being a lobster fisherman or working for David Rockefeller on a private island, or just being like, I know from selling vacuums that I want to be in film, like, how did you get from point A to point B? Because it's a bit of a leap, I think.
I'd say from each job I had to the next was a bit of a leap. Whether it was the fact that I was so tired in a certain genre that I went something completely different, but I honestly think, and this is definitely true throughout 95% of my life, I'm just lucky. Like, right place, right time, don't be a dick kind of thing. Like, for example, I was in Maine. I was living in Maine for a while, and I was living in a town called Bar Harbor, which is by far the nicest, most perfectly paradise serenic place I've ever seen in the summer, in the 2 or 3 month summer that Maine has. It's perfect. Nobody ever wants to leave. The winter is horrible, absolutely terrible. But I'm just not a winter guy. I mean, I worked on an island, so it was like negative 15 degrees all the time. I was a lumberjack outdoors, just drove heavy machinery, moved snow, farmed. So it was never like awesome, but it was just, you're in the North Pole all the time, basically.
So you weren't hanging out with David Rockefeller on the island.
I did meet David Rockefeller on several occasions because his family came out there, and they had like a Christmas party every year and stuff. And I literally had the old man, David Rockefeller, like, his son would, for Thanksgiving, they gave us a turkey, and his son kind of handed him, and he kind of, turkey at me. And I'm like,
here's your bonus.
Yeah, it was a bonus and a turkey, like a whole butterball turkey, It was kind of weird that this guy was there to do it,
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have to be anywhere near any of the peasants that kept his land up, But yeah, it was like, I met a guy at a gas station that day. I was just getting gas the day I applied for the job. And he noticed my PA plates and said, yeah, new, I'm doing this, whatever. I'm looking for a job. I did landscaping my whole life. And he's like, yeah, I heard about this, construction company or whatever. So I looked them up, and they're looking for a guy. And I said, yeah, I've got some experience, and just happened to be private island owned by David Rockefeller, So I never even wanted to like, be a lumberjack, but I just ended up being a lumberjack because I could use a chainsaw, and I never wanted to drive heavy machinery or like those 18-wheelers with the cranes on the back that pick up the trees. One of the most fun I've ever had using a joystick. Like, we're talking trees that are like this, like 5 and 6 at a time, just giant claws ripping them out of the woods.
That's crazy.
I mean, once again, I'm 12 years old, so you never grow up, you never have to color inside the lines, and it's just luck, basically. Just if I was, because that guy asked me, and I could have been like, I want to talk to this guy,
But you're like down for anything.
Oh, always.
And that saying yes, and just being down for anything. Have you found that that's the way to be? Like, you wouldn't do it any differently. That gets you. Sometimes it gets you in spots.
Yes.
And sometimes, it really pays off.
Absolutely. And I'd say most of the time it pays off. If you use common sense, it's absolutely give it a shot.
Yeah.
And when my dad used to say, and this is like you never know until you do it kind of thing. He'd say, how do you date the prom queen? So do you know how do you date the prom queen?
So you ask her out.
You got to ask.
Yeah.
You got to ask, buddy. Yeah. So it's like, why not?
Yeah. And most people don't.
Exactly.
And they don't go to the prom with the prom queen.
Exactly. Because nobody even like dares to ask, So dare to ask,
That's something I've found in my own education and experiences, and just personally and professionally, is that you have to be willing to ask and not be scared of the word no, because it's the worst thing that can possibly happen. Just be like, hey, I'm interested in this. No. Okay. And that's as bad as it's really ever going to get.
Yes.
Is it's going to be a no, or at least a no for right now.
Exactly.
And oftentimes, if you put it out there to the universe, and people say putting out there to the universe, it doesn't have to be something that spiritual like that, but if you put it out there, people aren't mind readers. They don't know what you want. So they're not just going to assume off the top of their head when they wake up in the morning, they're like, Jared wants this thing. You tell them, hey, I'm interested in this. I want this. They either say no or they say no, not right now. And you check in later. And usually from asking, you're able to get your foot in the door to something that you're interested in doing along those lines.
Exactly. And that's how most film sets have worked. You know, I've known a guy who knew I did a thing. And he's like, can you do that? I'm like, I can do that. We'll try that. You know? That's why, like, I've done a few things like PAs and gaff. Yeah. And, you know, it's not always first AC work or you know, I'd love to be more stunt work, but it's very rarely, but
But you still say yes.
Always. Yeah. I mean, you never, like we were talking earlier, we're doing the movie Lucky Louie. Yeah. And, I have a couple things going on at the same time, but you know, you make it work. You find something else, you find another way, because I don't want to say no, because that's awesome. You know, you get to make movies. That's the most amazing thing in the world. You know what I mean? And I wish I knew that when I was 20, you know, but man,
there's a big difference between some people call it indecisive or not being able to make choices. And it's not about that. It's about being flexible. It's about saying yes, being open-minded and being extremely flexible. And if you really want to do something or you really want to do multiple things, you'll find a way to get them all done and collaborate with other people to do it, meet other people to do it, to be really creative in how you get it done. But you'll find a way to get it done and not compromise on quality and do all the things you're interested in doing. It's not you have to say yes, but only to one exact thing, and that's it.
Exactly.
You really, you're really only limited by your creativity.
Yeah, you'll always find a reason not to do something. There'll always be a reason not to do something. You know, you got to find, you know, there's got to be something to keep you going. You know what I mean? That's why, like, you never quite see someone who loves what they do give up on it. It's because they found that, and there's just something that keeps them going. You know?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really crazy.
I forgot the original question.
Dude, me too.
Who knows, man? Yeah. We just got really philosophical. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, man, I should say yes to more stuff, and I say yes to a lot of things. As it already.
Do you feel like there's not enough time in the day?
Every day.
To do everything you want to do.
I mean, I don't sleep the way it is, and there's never any time.
Yeah. Well, because you're actually in the middle of post-production right now
I'm in the middle of a lot of posts.
Yeah.
The main thing I got working on now is we just finished the movie Purple Heart. Which you guys were a part of. Yep. And I'm doing post edits in that now, and then I do coloring for that after. And there's another one we just finished up with.
Who's There?
Who's There?
How did that go?
Oh, it was great. It's great. Kuba and Brian took over the music for this.
Brian Sanchez.
Kuba. Amazing job. I only heard
talking about him.
Just a little bit of it, and I cannot wait to see how it comes together. It's just because I do the whole thing. You guys do video editing, right?
Yeah.
So when you edit something together, how often do you get to the point where, like, I'm muting this, I can't anymore because you're listening to the same thing 30 times. Yep. It's going to be quite annoying. So I turn off the audio. I listen to the dialogue if I need to make sure it doesn't get messed up or mixed or anything. But I turn it completely off, and I'm going strictly by feel. And in my head, I can kind of hear the music. You know, it's like, I don't know if it's my imagination.
I've done that too before. When I get to know the audio well enough to where I can hear it without actually hearing it, I'll do the same thing. I'll actually I'll mute it, and I'll edit listening to other music sometimes.
Yeah,
and
give
just
it a little bit.
Get a little, something that's more ambiance driven, not very upfront. But it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And so that's where you're at right now.
Yeah.
You're at that point.
Yeah, I'm editing now, and
no offense to those who worked on that music, I'm sure. And that sound design.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. No, because Craig always puts terrible music behind all of like the pre. And you guys, have you seen these videos?
On purpose. It's very much on purpose.
Very much on purpose.
It's like, I think before I send this to the editor, I will add in the worst thing I could possibly think and send it to Jared. I know this is how his mind works.
That's exactly it. And he even sent me on Who's There. He did all the pre-editing. Right, which saved me tons of time. Craig was really good at that. Mm-hmm. He had like this idea, and he kind of went through it, and I'm like, okay, I like this. And Mike and I went through and made his vision come out of that, and it saved me tons of time. And he put terrible songs underneath everything. For this movie, he sent me everything. I did everything from the start. And in that folder, there was a file full of terrible music for me to use on it if I wanted to. Thanks, Craig.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm really,
always looking out.
He's always there.
I'm really hoping that we'll be able to do some type of social distance screening of who's there.
Yeah.
I'm
soon.
actually hoping to possibly get it to a movie theater.
Yo.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I know. I was just talking to a guy, and I don't know if this is even a workout or not.
Yeah.
But they usually stop screening movies Halloween.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Ooh.
Maybe
it's-
a drive-in or the Roxy.
That's what I'm talking about, driving.
Yeah.
Or-
So it's like they stop showing Halloween, but the drive-in doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
drive
who
it
knows?
does not actually.
Yeah, so
believe
he's
it
not
or
going
not.
to use it for anything.
Yeah.
The drive-ins, I mean, the drive-ins at the beginning, it's a funny little segue. At the beginning of COVID, we were really scared about closing down. And it turned out the exact opposite is
Yep.
the drive-ins were one of the safest things you could go to.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And now so many people are trying to get there that, what was it? You and Lizzie just saw Tenet this weekend.
Yeah, I was just there this weekend too
And there are so many
To see
articles.
Tenet?
to see. Well, we saw Bill and Ted's and Beetlejuice.
Okay, different. Bit of a different vibe.
Yeah, yeah,
Which,
yeah.
How was
one?
Bill and Ted's?
Original Beetlejuice, or new Bill and Ted. Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
New Bill and Ted's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't quite like the daughter that played Ted's, like the
Interesting.
dark hair one. That's Ted,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't bad though. She wasn't bad at all. But it took me a
Interesting.
half hour to get used to her being exactly like Ted as a girl.
Interesting.
It was good though.
I'm surprised that.
It was definitely funny, worth seeing if you like the old Bill and Ted's.
Yeah. Sure.
It definitely brought the cast well enough together. You know?
Okay.
And what's his name? Bill, the blonde?
Yeah.
I was so worried about him because he's acted since, the 90s? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a couple things.
Yeah.
Picked up right where he left off.
That's awesome.
It was great.
That's good.
So,
That's
Rotten
interesting.
Tomatoes, 89. I guess.
Yeah.
But we were saying how, and we were talking about, I read articles too after you mentioned it to me, that so many people are risking their lives to travel across country to go to drive-in movie theaters just so they can see movies now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like Tenet, which is would be a blockbuster, but is now not because by
Yeah.
nature of everything going on.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting and scary. The dire straits that certain portions of the entertainment industry
Yeah.
are under at the moment. But it's weird that the shoe's on the other foot now with the drive-in movie theaters.
Yeah, definitely
So-
remember them being really worried.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's one of the safest things you could do, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to get out of your car.
Yep.
You don't have to talk to anyone. You just stay 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
And so when it comes to, it's an amazing segue, when it comes to that post-production, what is, for a film, a narrative film, what's going through your head? You were on set, so you have that
Yep.
under your belt as well, which is very helpful, I'm sure, to have that insight intuitively from your experience. But what is your process like to make sure such a large project with so many moving parts is going to be organized properly, that you're going to dot all your I's and cross all your T's kind of thing, and
Yeah.
get it to picture lock, or get it to wherever you get it to before you kind of hand it off and say, I've done my part.
Yeah, crossing all the T's and dotting all the lowercase J's are like one of the hardest things to do when it comes to movies, like, especially when you have, like, Purple Heart, for instance, we have drone shots, this from here, shots from there, shots from there, interior shots, cutting shots. So definitely, the first step I'd say for everyone is just organize. Organize it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Have a really good organizational system down. Otherwise, you are just screwing yourself for later.
What do you gravitate towards that helps you? Because every editor has a different,
I like to do, it's usually given to me in days. This is what we shot the first day, this is what we shot the second day. I'll take that and break it down into scenes. So now I know this is scene 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of puts it a little more in order. They sometimes shoot out of order on the days. So scene 1 will be on day 1, scene 2 will be on day 5. So when you're trying to find that gets a little confusing. So if it's all laid out into days, then you have it all in a row. Then I take that and I take out all the certain cuts that are, this is, scene 1, take 1. Scene 1, take 2. Scene 1, take 3. All scene 1's here, scene 2's here. And then you pick out the best out of that. You're like, I like this one, I like this one. A lot of times it'll be, both of those takes work.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a quick little video showing both of these, and then I'll show it to the director. Because I work a lot with the director to see, because it's not my vision.
Right.
I want to make what I was the focus puller on the thing. Usually the ones I edit, I was the one behind the camera, so I know offhand 70% of the time what takes are good, what takes I messed up on, what takes they messed the lines up on. So I can kind of, that hurries me through a little bit. You know, I'm like, oh, I remember this one.
That's helpful.
I don't have to stay. It's so helpful. And once you find all that, then I put all the good stuff together. You know, and I leave all the bad stuff in the same day. I don't like mix it up.
When you're organizing, is that happening outside of your NLE or is that happening inside of it? Like, is this before you even ingest? So it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. I like to have like a basic organization in the file when you copy all the files over and stuff. But most of the time I'll take it into that in the raw file in days. And then from there, it'll have a whole scenes folder.
Okay.
That way I know I can always click, you know, find in profile or find in project.
Yeah.
And it'll tell me right where in the NLE it is.
Yeah.
So I can, you know, source out a piece for that video and go back to it. It saves a little time. And I mean, I may be doing it terribly wrong, but I think it's been faster over the years.
If it works for you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as far as like time for me to edit things and time for like people who I know are really good to edit things, it's right there. So I'm not causing any more time. It might even be a little quicker for certain things, but it always ends up being like, okay, I got this done a lot quicker. Oh, wait, you want me to do what now? 3D track something throughout the scene, you know? We did a music video once, and this is kind of my fault. It's these guys are rocking out in a church, and they have a wireless microphone attached to a skeleton mic stand. You know, and he's using doing this whole rocker thing, and it looked amazing. In post, I noticed, because we shot in 4K, I'm going through and adding some like light things and fire flickers, kind of like little distraction things. And I noticed the end of the mic that was supposed to be a real mic that was a fake mic had the plugs on the bottom that you can obviously see was an unplugged real mic. So I had to 3D track the bottom of the microphone as this guy threw an entire music video like, it was a live shot music video. So it's the band rocking out the entire time. 4 minutes of that frame by frame to 3D track a little ball.
How long did that take you?
Oh man, I lost track of time.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things where now I know, you know, but now I know how to 3D track too. Like I got really good at it over the days it took me to do that. But
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
I think any editor, I should say, has definitely been there.
So I learned a lot more from like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I never want to deal with that ever again.
Yeah.
That's really funny actually. So do you have your audio before, is it roughly done for you to have as reference when you're editing? Is it finished entirely? Does it get finished after you lock down your edit? Where does audio come into play in the process for you usually?
Usually I have using an editor guy that does all the mixing and stuff like that. And then someone else will do all the music. Okay. And like sound effects and stuff like that. Sometimes the dialogue guy will do sound effects and vice versa, but usually dialogue, music. And from what I do usually, and people do everything different, but I'll take the video and I'll make a AAF file of all the audio, you know, a master audio file, and send that out as I'm editing. And if he wants to take a look at it, see what he's going to do, that's like a pre-thing for him. I usually tell him, listen, don't touch anything unless it's in one long track. If you do like interviews, stuff like that, he could just take a piece of it because nothing's changed throughout the whole interview and edit that piece to make the whole thing sound good. He doesn't have to go through each scene. Yeah. That he'll just do in one take and send it right back. And I'll plug in the audio because he doesn't have to wait for me. Yeah. It's the same amount of time. Otherwise, he'll wait for me to get done. I'll give him a picture lock. I say, nothing will change from this picture, which is never true. Nothing will change. Here's the audio. Make this audio work for these exact time parameters, you know? Wow, okay. And he'll make all that audio work.
And then there's an edit.
And then there's always an edit.
And then everything gets thrown off.
Yeah, so we're waiting. I'm on that stage. I'm waiting for the next stage, which is, I mean, I knew this was going to happen because it's until the 11th hour passes, nothing is ever final, you know? Yep. And if you're the director, and I completely understand this, you know, you're the director and I do this movie, and what I say is, like, I want to show you every take, even if it's crappy. If I think it could even remotely work for your vision, I want to show it to you just so I never want someone to think, you know, if we had put this scene in like that, would that have looked better?
Like so you eliminate
those thoughts
because they've seen it all.
As a director or an editor, you're like, if I only did this, would that have worked? Yeah. So I try them all, you know, it'll take me an extra hour or whatever. A lot of the times, if I don't think it'll work, like I'll pause the clock Like I hate clocking. I hate charging for things that I have nothing to show for.
Okay.
You know, like if you're going through and I'm researching things to do and like, I'm like, ooh, I want to try something that I'm not sure will work.
Yeah.
Let me take 2 hours to research this. I'm not charging you for a crazy idea that I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to try those things. You physically have to try things that you think will not work.
So you can eliminate them as options.
Even not even that, but sometimes things will work.
Yeah.
Like I've had things I'm like, this is never, ever going to pan out. Oh crap. Did you see the way her arm went up at the end there and made it look perfect? I'm like, oh, this works a lot. It just saved me 6 hours of work. So you get those every now and again.
That's crazy.
But always try something new. And I like to have those like, this will never work, but I want you to see it. Because I don't want you to think maybe this would have worked, you know?
So you eliminate that from their mind where they have that creep where it's like, what if?
You never
what
want
if?
that creep.
You never want that. That's interesting.
If you were a movie maker,
yeah,
that would haunt you.
That's an important thing to be in their shoes and to think from that perspective and be like, what would be a killer for me? You know, when I go to bed at night, what's the thing I'm going to be thinking about?
Yeah, because if I'm just the guy that you're hiring to do it, or not even, like if I'm your friend and I'm helping you make this movie, like there's nothing... Like personally, I love to do, if you have a friend who is like, I am this is what I would love to do with my life, but I need a hand. You're going to give that person a hand instead of the guy who's like, I figured I'll try painting today. You know, instead of someone's like, I've got this idea for a mural and it will be like the thing that I'm going to do. Yeah. You know, those are the people you want to attach yourself to.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
The creationists, the people who are in love with something. Yes. You know, because that bleeds over, you know?
Yeah, the passion breeds more passion.
So, and just being someone who I feel is, you know, semi-passionate about several millions of things, you never want that feeling of, if only I tried this too. You know, I just don't ever want someone else to have that feeling because of something I did or didn't do, you know?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that sense of never resting on your laurels and always being better than yourself every step of the way.
Yep.
And it's kind of something you almost, like you were saying, wouldn't want to charge someone for, because if you got better at something and it didn't even work out, your skills are sharpened and greater now.
Exactly.
For you to get paid for that in the future. That you're
and say
now
you
more
did charge them for that. You've got 5 hours of something you tried that didn't work. You give me a 5-hour bill for nothing?
Yeah.
That's a little... Like, so what'd you do with these 5 hours? Well, I tried coloring inside the lines and it didn't work. So, money, please. Yeah. So it's just weird.
Yeah. I feel like lawyers do that a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And that's completely normal in a lot of jobs. I'm not saying that it's wrong by any means to do certain things. It's just, I feel weird about it.
It's not how you personally operate.
I mean, I'm sure most, for trying things outside the box and it doesn't really work. And I know a lot of friends are like that too, especially filmmakers and stuff, you know. They'll do exactly what they know will make it work. And that's it. But they'll also try this to see if they can make it better.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then it's not going to be part of the, you know.
I don't think I've ever heard that exact thing put in that way, because I realize now we do some of the same things where we will try to improve our own processes or get better at something or be more efficient with something, and we don't charge the client for it.
You really can't, you know?
It just
never really a passing, you know, it was like, should we? No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, why would we?
And I only bring it up because it's literally, I've talked to people about it. And other professions will be like, well, no, that's why they're coming to you.
Exactly.
To figure this out. They don't take, you know, they hired scientists to figure out a vaccine, not to give them a vaccine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there's jobs that's the job. Figuring it out, taking that time, screwing up, getting back, screwing it up again, getting back. But if I know that he wants this, then I'm like, but this could come back, maybe, you know, and it never does. So it's like, I don't even want that, man. You know,
exactly.
I told you no. You know,
I guess to me it kind of depends on the client. Like if you have if you're in some huge high budget movie that they've just got money to blow, and you know they are good for it, and it's not going to hurt them at all to ask for extra 5 hours, then do it. But if you're helping out a friend or a mom and pop shop or someone like that, and you know they don't really have it, and you know you're already kind of working wonders with the budget that they had. It's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you should do that regardless. If you're not trying to make whatever you do better than the last thing you did, I don't understand why you're doing it. You know, never stop the same place you stopped yesterday.
100%.
You know? So I feel like that's just an easy, like, duh.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get better, don't you? I don't understand.
And it's that
like, not you personally, but you know what I mean? Like,
yes, I do.
I looked at him and he goes, oh my God. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think, like your mentality towards, so it's obvious in a way that is very indirect, but in listening to, you outlining your philosophies on a lot of these things and how it pervades in your work ethic, how it pervades in your work ethic, your attitudes, your just all these different things. Like it's no wonder that it's always fun to be on a set with you. It's no wonder that, that who's there is going to be good in the edit. It's no wonder that it's always going to be in focus. It's just
if it's not, I'm not using it. I've got that power.
Yeah, you got that power. Yeah, I thought about that too. And I was like, wow, no one's ever going to know.
I'm not going to lie.
No one's ever going to know.
No one's ever. We know. Yeah. And it's just like that secret club of people that knew what actually happened there, and then at the end, everyone's like, "Oh, this looks perfect." And everyone's just looking at each other.
It came out great.
Like,
came out great.
It was always like that.
But you bring a certain type of energy to pre-production to post-production. You bring a very certain type of energy that was very recognizable in just being able to be with you on the set the couple of times we've been with you. That positive energy. And you said it to me, was it the last day? You were like, I may not have that actual energy or positivity, but I fake it and make it there for everyone else because that may be what they need to get their job done that day. And then it'll slowly come out in you and actually be very genuine. And I really appreciate that. And I can see that you bring that to every single part of your production process. And I really admire that because that's not an easy thing to consistently do.
Yeah, I mean, 98, 99% of the time, I am ridiculously over the moon excited to do things. Like the dog that's going to the park, like he's so excited. And that 1% that everybody has, everybody's got those days where you don't feel like talking to people.
Yeah.
You hate everything and nothing is going right. Why be a jerk, though? Because there's the guy next to you that's going through something just like you or even worse. Nobody knows. He says one nice word makes his day, one crappy word makes his day even worse. Why do you want to make someone's day worse? Like, even if indirectly. Like me just being like, like, how you doing today, Bob? Weekend. How does that make you feel as like a response? You're like, oh, that's the best response you could take. Like, oh, sorry, buddy. Now you're kind of like, Jim's had a rough weekend.
Yeah.
Empathy at all, then you're like, but why? Like, and it doesn't always, work. I mean, friends and like my girlfriend would say, like, she's positive all the time, keeps me going, but it's, if you can try to not be that guy once out of 10 times that you would usually be that guy, that's so much better. You're better than you were yesterday. That's all that matters.
Wow. Dude, it's been a vision quest. It's been an adventure. It's been a journey. Jared, Sokirka? Sokirka?
Yeah, close enough.
Listen, guys.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's Russian. The Russian's hard.
I get that. I really appreciate you coming out all this way.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Just to sit down with us at this foldable plastic table in a very hot studio under some very hot lights.
It was great.
To have a very high level, high concept, philosophical chat.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Shop, and we added a whole other level to it. It was great.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't know if you get through this episode, you've gotten this far, and you did not unlock some knowledge within what was going on, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Whether it's practical or technical or anything in between.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, dude. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a wealth of. It's the vibe. It's the attitude. Like I said, like it's so much of. I think maybe I don't know whether you realize it or not, but I think your attitude, how you carry yourself, is really what has led to so much payoff and so much positivity in outcome. You know what I mean? And everything you do. And like I said, it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
To be in proximity of that. So I really appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun,
Thank
Come back
you.
Anytime you want, talk shop. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd like to have another instance like we did that other time. We had JB, Craig, Tom Antos. We had like a larger panel. Yeah. I'd love to sit down and do something similar like that again. Have everybody kind of get into some weird high concept, talk about whatever.
That'd be some good shop talk. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Jared, thank you so much. I know that this year you've got like 5 movies you're first AC on and 3 films that you were editing and color grading. Is there anything that you'd like to shout out? Any movies you've got coming on? Any projects you're doing or working on? I know you have your own production company, Video Ninja Productions.
Yeah. I've got a few things I'm working on. I do a lot of music videos, some real good stuff with Camp Rattler Productions. He's a producer, James Callahan. And Kristen Rose, they're like a team from Pittston, Pennsylvania. These guys are amazing at what they do as far as like production and concept designs. And he's a prop master, makeup artist, and we're doing like I was telling you about the fight scenes with the group Battle 13 Extravaganza. Tons of stuff coming out with them, music videos, some short movies with tons of action. Mm-hmm. I get to fight with a 7-foot sword.
Okay.
And defeat drug dealers. Okay. And post-apocalyptic Vikings. Yeah.
This is all the same movie you just said?
It's a music videos put together into a short film.
Okay.
So like there's a sword fight against the Viking and stuff like that. I get to behead him at the end.
Right, naturally.
So it's like some crazy amounts of awesomeness.
Yeah.
I got, Mike Walsh's project, Purple Heart. John Yacone's got The Searcher coming out. Young Frankenstein, Baby Frankenstein on Amazon now. He's got a movie, just made it to Amazon.
Nice.
Amazing. JB was part of that one too. And there's going to be so much more coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll come back and talk about more later.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Awesome.
Fantastic. And thank you all for watching and listening to the Poorly Edited Podcast. Check it out on anywhere where you can find video footage or audio files like Spotify, iTunes, YouTube for the video version of the podcast, and anywhere else. Poorly Edited Podcast signing out. Lab 212. Thank you so much. Have a great night or day, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys. That was awesome.